Most women think their bodies simply adapt when intimacy fades. They tell themselves it's just a phase, a pause, a quiet chapter where the body rests and everything remains as it was. But deep down, a question hums in the background. If I stop using it, do I start to lose it? That's not just a question about anatomy, it's a question about womanhood itself, about whether something soft, warm, and deeply personal is slowly being forgotten by your own body. That's the question so many of my patients whisper when the door closes behind them. They wait until the end of the appointment, eyes lowered, voice barely above a breath. "Doctor," they say, "I haven't had sex in years. Is that bad?" It's never the words that strike me, it's the fear behind them. Because they're not really asking about their organs or muscles, they're asking if they've drifted too far from the woman they used to be. The one who felt desirable, alive, connected and confident in her own skin. But here's the thing no one tells you. Silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. Even when there's no partner, no intimacy, no touch, your body continues to change in quiet, fascinating ways. The question isn't if it changes, the question is how. And that's where most women are left in the dark, searching for answers that the internet rarely gives with kindness or truth. When the years stretch between moments of passion, subtle shifts start to unfold. They're not dramatic. You won't wake up one morning and find that everything feels different. It happens quietly, almost imperceptibly, like a song fading so slowly you don't realize it's gone. Some women describe it as a distance, not just from a partner but from themselves, from their own sense of touch, warmth, and readiness. Others notice nothing at all, until one day curiosity stirs again, and suddenly something feels unfamiliar. That realization can be unsettling, or it can be the beginning of rediscovery. Now, before we go any further, I want you to know this: nothing is broken. You cannot lose your vagina by not having sex. It will not vanish, close, or forget what it's meant to do. Your body does not betray you, it adapts. But, and this is a gentle but, you might notice small, delicate changes that whisper of time and stillness. They're not permanent, but they are real, and they deserve your attention, not your shame. We'll get to those soon. But for now, sit with this thought. Your body listens to you. It responds to touch, to warmth, to attention, to movement, and yes, to love, even if that love is self-given. When it receives none of those things, it doesn't stop working. It simply waits, patiently, silently, almost like it's holding its breath until you invite it back into the conversation. And that silence can last years. Some women call it peace, others call it loneliness. I call it the pause, the body's way of saying, I'm still here, I'm just resting. That pause isn't an ending, it's an invitation. And over the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly what happens during that pause, what changes beneath the surface, and what you can do to wake that part of yourself again, gently, naturally, beautifully. So don't go anywhere, because by the end of this episode, you'll understand the hidden process your body goes through when intimacy stops, and the one simple secret that helps bring everything back to life again. Trust me, you'll want to hear that part. And before we dive deeper, tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and if you feel comfortable, your age. It helps me understand who's listening, and it reminds every woman reading that she's not alone in this conversation. There's power in knowing we're going through this together. There's something strangely comforting about myths. They give shape to our worries, a tidy story to hold on to when we don't have real answers. And when it comes to what happens down there, myths have been keeping women up at night for decades. You've probably heard a few whispered in locker rooms, typed into late-night searches, or spoken by friends who meant well but didn't quite know the truth. Maybe you've even believed some of them yourself. The most common one, the one that spreads like wildfire online, is that the vagina somehow closes up if you don't use it. The phrase is tossed around casually, almost jokingly, use it or lose it. But beneath the humor, there's that flicker of unease. Could something really close tighten or seal itself away just because it's been quiet for too long? The idea is frightening, isn't it? As if womanhood itself might be taken back by time. And then there's the other myth, softer but equally persistent, that the hymen somehow grows back. The story usually comes wrapped in confusion, a blend of old taboos and modern misinformation. It suggests that your body tries to erase your past, that absence rewrites experience. But the truth is gentler, simpler, and far less dramatic than those internet warnings would have you believe. Let's pause before we dive into facts though, because behind every myth lives a very real emotion: fear. Fear of aging, fear of being forgotten by your own body, fear that something private and once alive might quietly shut down while no one is looking. These myths survive not because they're true, but because they give that fear a name, and naming something even wrongly makes it easier to carry. So let's carry it together for a moment. Imagine your vagina as a space that was once familiar, warm, flexible, forgiving. Now picture years without touch, without movement, without the natural rhythm of arousal. You start to wonder, if it doesn't close, then why does it feel different? Why does the thought of intimacy suddenly seem foreign, even intimidating? Why do so many women say they feel tighter, drier, or hesitant after years of silence? Those questions matter far more than the myths themselves, because while your vagina doesn't seal shut, something subtler does happen. A shift in the way blood flows, a quiet fading of elasticity, a soft drying of tissue that once stayed supple with regular attention. None of it is permanent, but all of it is real. Yet we won't go there just yet, not fully. That truth deserves its own moment. For now, hold on to this: your body is not betraying you, it's responding, adapting, waiting. The myths try to scare you into urgency, but what your body actually needs is curiosity and patience. In the next part, we'll step gently into the truth behind that difference, what really happens when elasticity begins to fade, and how that first whisper of change feels from the inside out. Stay close. The answer is coming, but not all at once. Some truths need a softer landing. There's a quiet change that sneaks in long before most women notice. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with pain or warning. It's just a subtle shift, something about the way things feel. Some describe it as a slight resistance, others as a faint tightness, almost like the body has forgotten how to relax. But no one ever tells you that elasticity, that soft give and take of the vaginal walls, depends so deeply on rhythm, on movement, warmth, and blood flow. Think of the vaginal tissue as living fabric, one that breathes, stretches, and renews itself through gentle use. It's not about youth, or beauty, or even sex itself. It's about circulation. When there's arousal, when the muscles engage, when that delicate area is stimulated, tiny vessels open, oxygen flows, the tissue stays supple, plump, and ready to respond. But when the months turn into years without that natural stimulation, that easy flexibility can begin to fade, slowly, silently. Now that doesn't mean your body shuts down, not at all. It's more like a garden in late autumn. The soil is still rich, the roots still alive, but everything is waiting, dormant, patient, holding its breath until the warmth returns. For some women, that waiting period feels like calm. For others, it's a quiet frustration, an unspoken sense that something is missing, even if they can't name what it is. And then one day the moment comes. Maybe you decide you're ready again. Maybe curiosity stirs. Maybe it's a tender encounter, or simply a private rediscovery. But when you finally invite your body back to intimacy, you notice that first hint of difference. It might feel drier, it might take longer to feel aroused, or it might just feel strange, like your body is hesitating, unsure whether it remembers what to do. This, dear listener, is not failure. It's not aging gone wrong. It's the body reminding you that it responds to care, not just to contact. Elasticity doesn't vanish, it goes into waiting mode. And yes, it can return. The tissues can soften again, they can become responsive again. But the key lies not in urgency or fear, it lies in reawakening. Now I know what you're wondering: how do you reawaken something that's been quiet for so long? Is it just about having sex again? Or is there something else, something more personal, more deliberate that can invite that flexibility back? That answer is coming, but not quite yet. Because before we talk about reawakening the body, we have to understand what happens to desire. You see, when the body slows down, the mind often follows. And desire, that's a story of its own. In the next part, we'll talk about the disappearing spark, why it dims, how it sometimes reignites on its own, and what hidden truth lies inside that ebb and flow. Stay with me. The real awakening always begins with understanding what faded in the first place. Desire is a strange, fragile thing. It doesn't disappear overnight, it just drifts, quietly, almost politely. One day you realize, it's been a while since you've even thought about it. No craving, no daydream, no flutter of anticipation. It's as though your body has placed a gentle "do not disturb" sign on the door, and part of you has been respecting it without question. For many women, this fading happens so gradually, they hardly notice. A busy life fills the space where intimacy once lived. Responsibilities, exhaustion, medications, hormones, they all play their part. But there's something deeper too, something more personal. It's not only that the body changes, it's that the relationship with the body changes. When touch becomes rare, when arousal feels distant, the body can start to feel like unfamiliar territory. And so desire begins to hide, not gone, just hidden, like a flame buried under ash. You might think it's out, but if you listen closely, there's still warmth beneath. Now here's where it gets interesting. Some women tell me that after years without sex, their desire doesn't vanish at all. It grows. They'll say, "Doctor, I haven't been with anyone in years, but lately I feel alive again, curious again." The body has its own rhythm, and sometimes the very absence of touch can create a longing, a pulse that surprises you. Others, though, feel the opposite, that the longer they go without intimacy, the more the spark fades, until it seems easier just to forget it ever existed. Neither experience is wrong. Desire is not a switch you can flip. It's a dialogue, one between your body, your mind, and your memories. When that conversation grows quiet, you may start to assume it's over. But what if it isn't? What if the spark hasn't died at all, but is simply waiting for you to speak first? I've seen this countless times in my practice. A woman convinced that her interest in intimacy was gone forever, until one day, a small act of self-kindness, a simple moment of awareness, brought a flicker of feeling back. Sometimes it begins with just noticing your body again, the texture of your own skin, the way breath deepens when you slow down, the warmth that rises when you allow it. These are small awakenings, but they matter. Desire doesn't always return because of someone else. Sometimes it returns when you stop treating your body like a stranger, when you let curiosity replace judgment, when you start listening instead of expecting. But I won't reveal too much yet, because there's another side to this story, the emotional one. For many women, the hardest part isn't that they don't feel desire, it's that they fear it. Fear rediscovering something they've ignored for too long, fear of how it might feel to start again. That fear can freeze the body faster than time ever could. So in the next part, we'll talk about that fear, the quiet anxiety that appears when you even think about being intimate again, why it shows up, how it hides inside the muscles in the mind, and the one gentle shift that can dissolve it faster than you expect. Stay close, because this is where the body and the heart finally start to speak to each other again. No one really prepares you for the pause between who you were and who you're becoming. The years without intimacy can feel peaceful, until the moment you start thinking about returning to it. That's when the unease begins. It's quiet at first, a single thought, a nervous flutter. What if it hurts? What if I've forgotten how? What if my body doesn't respond? Those questions aren't about mechanics, they're about memory, the fear that your body, after so much stillness, no longer belongs to you in the same way. I've heard women describe it like stepping into a room that used to feel familiar, but now feels slightly different. The same furniture, but the air has changed, the light falls in new places, and that first step inside can feel both thrilling and terrifying. This is the part most women never talk about. They'll admit to dryness, to tightness, to lost desire, but not to fear, because fear feels like weakness, and shame, that silent companion of fear, whispers that you should have kept up, that something is wrong with you for letting time pass, but there is nothing wrong. The body responds to life as it happens, to grief, to change, to solitude, to years of simply surviving. Sometimes the stillness isn't a loss of passion, it's the body's way of protecting you while it waits for safety again. When that safety returns, perhaps through a new partner or the quiet decision to rediscover pleasure on your own, the mind can hesitate, even if the heart says yes. The anticipation of touch can bring tension, not warmth. Muscles tighten, the breath shortens. That's not your body rejecting intimacy, it's remembering it, but through the lens of uncertainty. Like muscles after years without use, the emotional tissue around intimacy needs warming, stretching, coaxing back into trust, and that's where the real healing begins. Not through forcing, not through rushing, but through soft reintroduction, small gestures, a slow evening bath, touch that expects nothing, simply allowing yourself to feel, even if what you feel at first is fear. Because here's the quiet truth: anxiety doesn't mean you're not ready. It means something inside you still cares enough to wonder. You haven't forgotten how to connect. You've just forgotten the rhythm. And the rhythm can return. But before we talk about how it returns, before we open that final secret, there's something I need you to understand. This next part isn't just about the body. It's about the invitation, the moment when you finally whisper, "I'm ready to feel alive again." What happens after that whisper is what every woman deserves to know: how the body remembers, how pleasure reawakens, and how the years of silence can turn into something surprisingly beautiful. Stay with me. In the next part, I'll reveal the gentle secret to reawakening your body, not through pressure or performance, but through a kind of touch that reminds your body it was never lost, only waiting. Every woman reaches a moment, sometimes quietly, sometimes with a deep breath, when she realizes she's ready. Ready not just for touch, but for connection. Ready to feel something again. And yet this isn't about returning to who you were before. It's about rediscovering who you are now. Because your body, no matter how long it's been resting, never forgets how to feel. It only waits for permission. You see, your body has memory, not the kind written in words or photographs, but in sensation. The rhythm of your breath, the warmth that spreads with arousal, the way your pulse deepens when you allow pleasure to flow through you. None of that disappears. It's all still there, just tucked beneath the stillness, waiting to be reawakened through care, curiosity, and the smallest acts of attention. Reawakening doesn't begin with intercourse, it begins with presence. With your own hands, your own awareness, your own willingness to listen. Start where comfort lives, maybe a slow shower where water touches your skin in places you've ignored, or the way your breath expands when you allow your belly to soften instead of holding it in. These aren't acts of vanity or indulgence, they're signals to your body. I'm here again, I'm listening. Over time, something beautiful begins to shift. The tissues that once felt still begin to plump again as blood flow returns. Warmth spreads more easily, sensitivity sharpens. The body becomes more responsive, not because you forced it, but because you invited it. This is what your body was designed to do. It's not about youth, it's about attention. And yes, intimacy, whether shared or solo, plays a role in this reawakening. When arousal returns, even gently, those tiny vessels inside your vaginal walls fill with life again. The tissue becomes supple, elastic, more forgiving. The more often it happens, the more the body remembers. It's a quiet cycle of renewal, not sparked by hormones alone, but by awareness, by emotional safety, by touch that feels earned and desired. But here's the true secret. This isn't just about anatomy, it's about ownership. When you reclaim your pleasure, even privately, you're telling your body that it still matters, that it's not too late, that your story as a sensual feeling woman isn't finished, it's evolving. So if you've gone years without intimacy, and you've wondered if your body is too far gone, it's not. It's simply been waiting for you to return to it. Waiting for warmth, waiting for softness, waiting for that small spark of curiosity to turn into a gentle flame. And when it does, when you finally feel that pulse of aliveness, remember this moment, because it's proof that nothing was ever lost. Your body didn't forget. It only needed to be reminded that you are still here. So take that reminder and make it yours. Begin again, slowly, tenderly, not to please someone else, but to reconnect with the woman you've always been, the one who never truly went away, only waited, patiently, to be remembered.